And I am Lion, who checks his Twitter DMs. So I had massive boomer tech issues right before the show started. I lost my internet. I don't know why. I have the new super phone, the super cool number 10 Android, which is better than my crappy old number 4 Android. And it's better, and it has a wire tether into the fucking computer, and this is going to make the internet so much better and smoother and faster, except somehow it shit the bed. And I guess, the title of tonight's stream, the first rule of life is never ignore Murphy's Law, right? Because Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And this seems to be happening quite a bit. The other thing is I had all my cool multimedia stuff that I was going to throw in, and I'm waiting for Gmail to load on another tab here. So in the meantime, we will continue. But aside from Murphy's Law, the first rule is the other day, there's someone I know IRL that knows about my other channel that has since been showed. And they came up to me around other people, and they said, "Hey, what happened to your YouTube channel?" And around other people who don't know that I have a YouTube channel, and they don't know the type of stuff I say. And I was like, whatever, got wiped, big deal. And they're like, for what? And I said, hate speech. And like, oh yeah, I could see that. I can totally see that. And I'm like, the first rule of the secret internet club, where we do free speech and we don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, is you don't talk about the secret internet club around people who are not in the club. That just makes sense, But people violate this. They're the membrane, the veil between the worlds, the digital world and the real world. Sometimes the veil gets a little thin and it tears, and then things happen. So you need to be mindful of that. If you're in the secret internet club, first rule, don't talk about the secret internet club with people who are not in the secret internet club. It seems, a matter of what's either fairly obvious, but I understand people get excited, and everyone's getting crazy now, and they're all getting out of their minds. And so, the line blurs between what you should say and what you're not supposed to say. Which is funny because I'm like running up against that line my entire life, right? Banging off that all the time. Have to watch what I say, like nonstop, like quick apply a filter at the last second before I go too far. And sometimes I fuck up and I go too far. But that's me, And most people live their lives in a much deeper into their comfort zone. They're not by that edge a lot. But invariably with hanging around me or listening to me for a while, people start getting further outside their comfort zone and kind of like at the edge of their control a little bit. Sometimes it's funny because to watch them struggle and watch their eyes pop out of their head when they're going crazy over stuff, and I'm like, dude, calm down. But it's you must not cross that line around normies. It isn't that it's that big of a deal. I'm not going to lose my job or anything, but it's just going to make it tougher, like down the road for me. And don't do that. I don't do that to other people. But sometimes I think they don't like what I say, and then they're using that maybe as an opportunity to get back at me. And I'm in the corner of my eye. I'm watching Gmail try to load it. It won't load it. It's really pissing me off. Because I have some of the best screen shares in all of YouTube, but it doesn't want to. Okay, so now I made it stop and reload again, and I don't know what that's going to. What is that going to do? Is it going to do anything? It's going to start all over again. Start the crappy graphic process all over again. It's probably just going to spin there. On and on and on, and I won't be able to do any of my cool fucking screen share shit, and that will just completely fuck the stream, because most of the stream is about fucking screen share, And if I can't get Gmail to come up to open those fucking tabs, I'm going to be a profoundly unhappy streamer, which that's what it looks like. It looks like it's just not going to fucking go for me. It is not at all working. There was so much good stuff on Twitter today. Those pictures of the leader of the alt-right, or the eater of the alt-right, the Richard Spencer with man boobs pictures in that blue shirt. That was maybe some of the most disgusting shit I've ever seen. And but so you could be morbidly obese, white supremacist, voting for Joe Biden, and you'll still have followers. You know what I mean? So I'm so glad I have nothing to do with those people. I'm so glad that they don't like me. I don't like them, and I have nothing to do with them. It isn't because I fear going to the gulag. I'm probably going to the gulag anyway, if there's a gulag. But they're probably not going to do 30-style gulags. Fucking Gmail is still, I'm looking at, if I seem to be staring at the ceiling like a mental case, again, I'm just staring at that Gmail tab, which is not loading Gmail, so I can't show what I want to show, which is fucking infuriating. And at this point, 800 AD technology. 800 AD technology is me when I hit myself in the head with a fucking rock until I completely lose consciousness. There's a photo from Venezuela, okay? And in Venezuela, they're in some shopping mall. There's what the clear part of the photograph is, a woman's paying for her items in US dollars, right? We know we're sanctioning Venezuela now, and there's all sorts of shenanigans going on in Venezuela, but they're paying with USD. And the reason why is because the Venezuelan bolivar is nearly worthless. But it's one of those up close, two people up close, two women, a cashier and a customer exchanging. You see the hand over the bill, and you can clearly see it's a $20 bill. But there's a banner hanging behind them, and the banner, I showed it to this guy from Ecuador. I said, can you see what that is? Because I said, this is a picture of Venezuela. And he says, yeah, they take Bitcoin. There was a banner for Bitcoin up there. And so people would think, okay, and I know a lot of people don't like Bitcoin talk on this channel, but I don't give a fuck. It's my channel. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. When the US dollar collapses and loses world currency reserve status, when the local currency collapsed in Venezuela, the bolivar collapsed, and now they're using the US dollar. The US dollar will also collapse. Then you will use Bitcoin. That will most definitely happen. But where people don't understand where it is or how to store it, and one of the things you use to store it is what's a secure way to store it, not online, where the government can't tax it and no one can take it from you, is what's called a cold storage device. Cold storage in Bitcoin terminology means Bitcoin that is not online, that no hacker can hack into your account and steal your Bitcoin. So what do those devices look like? They look like this right here. This is a popular one. It's called a Ledger Nano S. And what it is essentially a USB device, right? A metal USB device that you plug in, and it has a little screen. And then it has these two little, can you see them when I flip it over? Those two little tabs on the end. And the screen lights up, and you have a PIN number. And the PIN number is between 1 and 8 digits. And then you unlock the device, plug it into a computer, and then you go online and you can do whatever you want to do with your Bitcoin. And you can store your Bitcoin safely on this forever and ever and ever. And just plug it back into the internet from anywhere, from any USB port, anywhere, and then you can get access to your Bitcoin. So what that means, and the reason why this is better than gold, this is much, much better than gold, because you could keep unthinkable amounts of money on here, like as much money as you have. 1, 10, 100 Bitcoin, it doesn't make a difference. You can put it in your pocket, and you can cross borders with it, and it's a Swiss bank account in your pocket. And governments really, really, really don't like that shit. You can buy 2 of those, you can buy 3 of those. Some could be dummies. Some could have, whatever. This is a great way to store your wealth, and then nobody knows where it is. You know what I mean? Nobody knows what the exact address of that device is, except you. So this is a value proposition for Bitcoin that nothing else has. There's a new, and speaking of which, Trump's talking about another $2.2 trillion in stimulus. So stock's going to go up. Everything's going to go up, including Bitcoin. And this fucking Gmail is going to, I'm just going to fucking punch. I swear to fucking God, I want to destroy this computer. So that was part of it. The other part, wait a minute. I wonder if I could show it. Oh, look at that. See? Wow, look, this is me. I don't know. So the Bitcoin thing is right up there, or was right up there. Let's go to gallery. Why don't we do that? So there's the two ladies. And way right up there. See that kind of a B letter on that? So that's what they're doing in Venezuela. Because the Bolivar has collapsed. Because you can't trust your government, and your government's going to fuck you. Now, we're not there in America yet, but we will be there soon. This next one, I really wish Gmail would have just fucking cooperated, because this is going to be shitty this way, but I'm going to fucking do it anyway. This is a great photograph. It's tough to see. So you see, you got a burning cross, and you got a whole bunch of dudes in white outfits, like Ku Klux Klan guys. So I'm going to zoom in on them guys. I'm going to zoom in. You notice something about their feet? I want to point out their feet first. Their legs and their feet. You notice how they're all wearing suit pants? They're all wearing suit pants, and this guy, where that guy there, he's got a nice long coat, one of those long black coats. Now, if the Ku Klux Klan is supposed to be like dumb, uneducated, like deliverance type banjo dudes, you know what I mean, that just hate black people for no reason, why are they all wearing suit pants and dress shoes? Right, and then Jonathan, the Black Klan guy, that's the one. This is the one. Here he is, right there. So you notice that this guy's hand, where is it? Where was my finger? Right, this guy in the middle has got a very, very, very black hand compared to the guy on either side of him. You know what I mean? And that is like, this is maybe the funniest shit ever. Like that movie, Spike Lee made a movie called Black Klansman. You know what I mean? And there might be two of them. In fact, if you look on the other side, I can't see it. It's a little tougher to see. There's kind of one on the other side who also looks like who's saying this is particularly dark. And I brought that up because I wanted to mention this our other dude. Where is he? This is my favorite fucking guy. This guy. This dude, which Eki will recognize. He's from the Not Fucking Around militia, which just had another. I don't know what that is, an AK-75 and a half, some kind of airsoft fucking thing. This guy is a Wakandan Special Forces. He's basically a Wakandan commando, and I think his superpower is probably swallowing human sperm. That would be my guess. I'm not 100% sure, but that would be my guess. Because that's just how they roll. So, but the Not Fucking Around militia is the modern, slicker version of that Klan photo, which is probably from the 50s or the early 60s. And so to remind people of that, I want to I wonder if I can find my photos on Google and show you that picture. Okay. It's tougher to see when you have all these things going all at once. You know what I mean? When the videos move in, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't fucking know. Choose what you count. Fuck it. I cannot stand any of this shit because none of it wants to work. No go. No. Fuck you. It's tougher. That video I put up on Facebook, right? I put when they're marching around, not the one with the one I put up, the one with somewhere around here, that way or down here, or over there, where they had another accidental discharge, right? So they had we gonna march through the streets, and we some badass Negroes watch us marching with our guns, and once again they shot themselves. They shot themselves. Law enforcement had to smack these guys down and handcuff them, and they're swearing it was an accident. So the Wakandan Special Forces, essentially, you could cause an internal bloodbath. But next time they march, take a quick packet, a 25-cent packet of firecrackers, and toss it in the midst of them. And anybody with the live rounds will just start shooting each other. AKM-74. No, AK-75 is a gun that doesn't exist, because the one that guy is showing is plastic. The charging handle is there's no slot in the receiver. That's just the charging handle is all wrong. It's not a real. It's not real. And the pistol on his hip is like airsoft with the little orange tip cut off. But when they show this video, and this gets ecky crazy, people get all incensed. But it's Twitter only video. When I look at television, I don't see this on Fox News. I looked in the newspapers, the Daily News and the New York Post and the New York Times. There was nothing about that. So this is, these guys are the same as those Klan dudes in the 1962 or whenever that photo was taken. Also, you got to consider the Klan. Supposedly, I guess that was the best dressed Klan, Ku Klux Klan, whatever. What are they called? Clubs? What are they called? I don't even know. I don't even like division. What are they called? Chapter, I guess. Maybe they were the best dressed Klan chapter in the entire South. That's why they had the suit pants and the wingtip Oxfords, which, they were not, government employees in the 60s. Oh, hell no. But the professional photography, you know what I mean? That photographer getting that angle, he's up there with that cross is like 35 feet high, right? He's got the flames of the cross, and then he's got all those guys perfectly. Like that's some great photography skills for somebody whose primary skill set is playing a banjo and raping people in the woods, but no one ever questions that, right? So when you start questioning the narrative and looking at, his footwear is wrong. Nobody's wearing coveralls. You know what I mean? You don't see the coveralls sticking out from underneath the white things. You don't see work boots or anything like that. You don't see any farmer gear, which they're all supposed to be ignorant farmers. You see three-piece suits and wingtip Oxfords and black dudes, but you can't show people stuff like that without them losing their minds, because they've so completely absorbed the narrative. It's unreal, and there's no change in their minds either way for anybody. So best you can do is avoid it. Just avoid it and run away and avoid it. And don't fight them. You're gonna lose. Stay away from them. And your job now is just to avoid getting into conflict with people who are getting crazier and crazier, and it's not getting better. They're going to get crazier and crazier, and it's not going to get better ever. So your job is to make it so that they can't hurt you. Now, I think that means you buy Bitcoin. You may think that means buy gold coins or, I don't know, bottles of whiskey or something like that. But they're not going to put us in camps like the 1930s. I mean, it's funny and it's romantic to say, but they're not going to do that. They're just not going to do it. It's not going to be like Red Dawn, where they put up the chain link fence and they play propaganda movies to you, and you're Harry Dean Stanton and what's his name, Patrick Swayze Jr. can come over to you and promise to revenge you or something like that. It's not going to be like that. Okay, it's just isn't. The 1930s are over. Regardless of how hallucinatory the Jews believe that the 1930s are here again, they're not coming back. What they will do is they will punish you economically by shutting off your accounts. We all know this. This is obvious. This is as obvious as the black-handed Klan dude, the black-handed Klan guy. But you have to look at it. You don't want to look at it. People don't look at certain things because of selective attention. You're very, very focused on something else over there. You got 10 super important things going on. You're missing the basketball game, or you're missing some other thing. And I don't know why people don't want to admit that, but that's very, very, very much what's happening, and so this is, this is it. Like, people go like, oh, how could Trump throw the Proud Boys, those just gay Hispanic and Black Israel-loving conservatives under the bus? Well, one, they have no constituency, and two, it doesn't matter. And it's just get across the line. I'm roboting. Oh fuck! Why is that? It's just get across the line. I don't know what if I stop the camera? I wonder if that would make me stop roboting. Tell me if the audio is better now. And it's I don't know if it's better or worse, but just try the bandwidth trick. Does it sound better or does it sound worse? Press 1 if I sound better, or press 2 if I sound worse. I'm getting no response in the chat. Listen, poll. It's not like there's other people in the chat you have to compete with. Do I sound better or do I sound worse? So yeah, the key is okay now. All right, yeah. So that's a bandwidth thing. 111. I am number 1. Thank you. 1 viewer, and I am number 1 in the chat. Man, this is exciting. Nothing more exciting than this. But the fact that people are getting crazier and crazier, and that they're worrying about, they're having bizarre reactions to things. I had a Black girl who runs a QAnon Facebook group. When I showed her the New York Times article that the Stern Gang, who was the first group of people to send a bomb to the White House, she said, "Oh, that was a long time ago." And I thought to myself, really, 1947 was a long time ago. If I started talking to her about like reparations, hey, Mr. White, how's it going? Welcome to the show. If I started talking to her about reparations, multiracial white supremacy, Mr. White, or Ms. White. Are you Ms. White or Mr. White or something? Well, we'll just call you White. Welcome to the show. Yes, we are multiracial. We are welcoming of everyone except Zionists here at Multiracial White Supremacy. And you missed my great presentation where all my screen sharing materials went to crap. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? No, here it is. Oh, this cocksucker. Oh, look at this. Oh, will you look at this? This Gmail, you took long enough. What's it doing? Open the photo. It still doesn't want to do it. Now it's torturing me. It did that just to torture me. Just to torture me. Right? Why wouldn't it open up? Why wouldn't it? Now I can see all the emails. Now I can see them on my screen, but I can't make them open up. Oh, that is maybe the most infuriating thing that's happened to me in the last 2.5 hours. All right, onward and upward. We're trying to save bandwidth, so I'm not using the camera because I was roboting earlier. So, although you're not really missing much, Mr. White. So the future looks like people are going to grossly overreact to what they think you said. And to this Black girl, I pointed out that the first group to send a mail bomb to the White House was Jews. She was like, "Oh, that was a long time ago." And I thought to myself, well, if I started talking to you about reparations for slavery, all of a sudden, 1947, would be, or 1865 would be not that long ago, right? But I pointed out that it's not important when it happened. It's who did it first, right? And then she immediately said, "Well, what do you like? What do you like? Love Adolf Hitler?" She's like, "What are you, a Nazi?" And I'm like, holy crap, this is a Black chick who the other Black chick she worked with, behind her back, they call her a crackhead. They're not super nice to her. They didn't used to be. I don't know if there's been a detente, but I know they used to diss her behind her back. And I'm like, okay, this narrative is so deep that that there's no way to overcome this. So, and you should probably not try to red pill anybody or to present different information than people expect, because you're going to get some bizarre reactions. And again, for me, it doesn't make any difference. I'm good enough. I'm good enough with verbal judo that I can distract people and just change the subject, which I did. I could say something funny, and they'll lose their train of thought, and the crisis will be averted. But your main job is to survive this. To not be to not become a victim of this totalitarian stuff. And it is, if they took out my previous channel, which was what, 225 subscribers, like how small is that? I think only this channel is actually smaller. So if they can get down to that granular level, and you could argue that maybe it was, certain people ratted me out. Yeah, but that they would even bother to go after a channel that small. They have too much time on their hands. They have all the resources. You need to get out of the way of that behemoth, and don't get yourself in trouble. And part of what that means is understand that what you're seeing when you see the not fucking around militia or the Black Klansmen or whatever, you have to stop reacting to it as if it's a real thing happening outside your door, because people are getting hysterical. Like the reactions I'm seeing on Twitter, which people should be laughing, they're taking it too seriously. Just dial it back. Dial it back. Well, a lot of people outside the United States obviously think very, very different. Like I'm watching the war in Armenia right now, and I think there were like 80 or 90 half Greek, half Armenian soldiers who've been discharged from the Greek military. So they're not active duty. They just signed up. They just went to Armenia and said, we're going to go fight. And then like a thousand other like active duty Greek military said, we'll volunteer to go. We want to go over there and kill Turks and Azeris. And it looks like the Israelis are behind Erdogan. There's a big surprise. And the Azeri aggression, and it looks like it's failed fairly badly. It looks like they've lost all their armor. The Armenians certainly seem to have the initiative propaganda-wise right now. I don't really know what's going on the ground, but the Armenians are not. I think the Armenians very much have an identity and a sense of nationalism that they're willing to fight for. What kind of equipment they have, and how much they have. Is it enough to beat Erdogan? Probably, but things are not going well for him, and I don't think they're going to continue to go well. But we still live in this really shitty situation where we have a choice between extreme left-wing Jews ruling over us or extreme right-wing Jews ruling over us. And I still contend that the only reason why they have any power is because they control all of finance. One way or another, they control finance, and finance controls everything. Incentive controls everything in human life. Like it or not, I'm going to disagree with you, Jonathan Pohl, about what's necessary for a diaspora people to survive. I remember you said it was like 4 things. It was like shared language, common religion, a narrative, and something else. And at the time, I'd say, "Oh, that sounds good," but now that I think about it, those are all superfluous things. You don't need to speak the same language as somebody who's providing you food. You just need to know that they have food and you can get it from them. And you need the resources, the money, whatever that is that can get you that. So you need food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and the tools to survive. That's what you really need, and all the rest is superfluous. Jonathan Pohl in the chat: Israel gets most of its oil from Azerbaijan, so they will do something. And years ago, Azerbaijan gave Israel flyover rights to attack Iran, should they want to do that. that came out. But and I suppose that's as in gratuity for buying their oil. You know, I don't know how tough is it to get Azeri oil out through from wherever the hell it is to the Mediterranean. I don't know, probably difficult, but Israel's not doing well with these proxy wars. You know, they're not doing that well in Syria, and opening up a second whatever proxy war in Armenia, I don't think is going to go so well for them. So, but that's anytime that they're doing poorly, we're going to be happy. And my computer's still not doing what I want it to do. So yeah, I didn't. How am I alone? We're going like 40 minutes already. Yeah, the issue of whether or not you can stop having real world reactions to social media stimulus is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a really big deal because the not fucking around militia or whatever the next thing they come up with is designed to excite you to do dumb stuff, and you shouldn't do dumb stuff. The oil goes through Georgia to Turkey, the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. Oh, so there we go. Yeah, I remember years ago seeing a map of all the pipelines, and real pipelines and pipelines that were proposed. And yeah, I don't know how much it can pump a day, but I guess enough so that the Azeris and the Israelis find I don't know who's a bigger customer than Israel for Azerbaijan for their oil. And this one's still not coming up. Oh, this is making me crazy. Pissed. I'm going to be so pissed. Yeah, well, that's okay. It seems that a statement of the blindingly obvious, but everyone misses it. Azerbaijan, I don't think, has any connection, particularly to the Jews or Israel, but they have a financial relationship. And so the financial relationship is the incentive for Azerbaijan to do Israel's bidding, to use Israeli weapons, et cetera, against Armenia. You know what I mean? I don't know how long the Azeris and the Armenians have been living side by side in peace, but you know what? The guys they're making money with have been pushing them. Tel Aviv pushes whatever the capital of Azerbaijan is, and they do it again, not because they love the ideology of Zionism or that they want to see a greater Israel or anything like that, but because of money. And once again, incentive, something that ideologues don't understand. And let's be honest, ideologues don't understand a ton of fucking shit. One of the things about the recent the protests and the riots in the United States, people saying, well, the police are going to stand down, the police aren't going to protect you. That's true, the police are not going to protect you. So you have to think about how you're going to protect yourself, and probably doing like that couple in St. Louis where you come out of your house with your pink t-shirt, your pink golf shirt, and your AR, your wife comes out in a ketchup-stained blouse or mustard-stained blouse with the non-functioning Walter PPK, like Mrs. James Bond, that's the wrong way to go. If you genuinely believe that something's going to happen on or near your property and the police aren't going to help you, first thing you need to do is learn what the fuck the law is in your state as regards self-defense, right? And particularly the use of lethal force. So you need to know, are you a castle doctrine state, stand your ground state, what constitute, what legal, and listen, lawyers give classes on this stuff all the time. They give like 2-3 hour classes and people go to find out what's what. And you need to understand what constitutes lethal threat to yourself and your loved ones, and what responses are legally allowable. Now, if you don't understand that, if you think you're just going to run out there with your AR or your shotgun or whatever, because must Second Amendment, you're going to find out it isn't always going to work out for you. So, Jonathan Paul in the chat, never really any peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan since the 1905 pogroms in Baku, which I am completely unfamiliar with. Who pogromed who? Did the Azeris go after the Armenians, or the Armenians, I guess, were the victims around that time. But failing to understand that if you bring lethal force to bear in what you believe to be a self-defense situation, that's only the first battle. You know what I mean? You may or may not win that. You may scare them off or whatever. But there's going to be media scrutiny. Then there's going to be court procedures. And Azeris killed Armenians. Yeah, well, now listen, all those, the thing about all those things, what infuriates me, and what to me seems blindingly obvious with the hindsight of history, is that unarmed civilians, are preferred by most leaders, because that means no one from your own population will dare challenge the state's monopoly on violence. However, sooner or later, one of your neighbors is going to notice that your people are weak and easy to exploit, and they're going to decide to come in and take over your whatever it is you have. And they're looking to take over your country. In the base of your population, which is ignorant, defenseless, and terrified, which is the way you want to keep them, are of absolutely no help to you in maintaining your government or your borders or your political rule. But none of these guys can think past the nose in their fucking face. And it's, again, just fill their pockets for themselves and their posterity, and fuck the people. And if the gangster next door decides to take them over, well, then they're fucked, And this is largely the sweep of history. So, in more ways than one. So, is this likely to change? I don't think so. When these big events happen, most people don't see them coming. The smart ones consent it's coming and run quickly, and just get the fuck out of there. But most people say, well, it's not going to be that bad. It's not really happening. It's you're exaggerating the threat, et cetera, et cetera. And then next thing they know, they're being forced to become Muslims and, do all sorts of things they don't want to do. Or forced to become something, but that's the majority of normies everywhere. That's normalcy bias, and they don't. Again, when you're ignorant, you're fucking poor, you have no access to weapons to defend yourself against your own government. You don't even care. Even if they gave you guns, you wouldn't fight for your own fucking government, because your own government's shit. It's nice, as outrage porn, if you like outrage porn, watching what one group of people did to another group of people, and whether, and that's almost without variance. It's one armed group against unarmed people, against unarmed civilians, mostly women and children. and surprised they took up the entire countryside. So this is this scenario is played out again and again. Now, that's not that way in America. And, like I was saying earlier, if you're looking at political unrest at the different parts in the different cities or whatever, although that's winding down now because it's too cold. That's part of the reason why that not fucking around militia was down in Lafayette, Louisiana, because that's the only warm place you could get 50 or 100 Negroes to get together and even try to look like a whatever they're supposed to try to look like. Because it's too goddamn cold up here. They ain't going. They're wearing parkas right now. It's like 62 degrees in New York City. They're wearing parkas like there's a foot of snow on the ground. So it's got to be warm for the brothers and the sisters to march, and you got to do that somewhere down south. But they large groups of black people with firearms behaving in the way that they have now. 50% of their rallies have ended in unintentional gunfire. So that's you got a 50-50 chance of making it out of there, making it out of one of their rallies alive. So, but this is entirely a social media phenomenon designed to excite various different patriot groups or whatever latent racism that the powers that be think exist, to do something about these uppity Negroes with their guns marching through the middle of, I don't even know where the Lafayette, Louisiana is. How big is Lafayette, Louisiana? Somebody Google that. It's probably a town of like 10,000 people. Like this thing that they did there, which was picked on purpose, was done for maximum effect because they could stage these people. They could get them in and get them out, and you wouldn't see where the buses were hiding at the truck stop down the road. Law enforcement has no fucking interest in what they're doing and never will, and no one from the media is gonna give a fuck at all, right? We all know exactly how this goes. So laugh at this stuff. And there's going to be more. It's going to have to wind down soon just because it's too cold. Not because they don't have the budget for it or they don't think it'll be worth it, but Trump's going to win in a landslide. Everybody fucking knows that. And then it's going to be too cold for angry Negroes to march around with their fists in the air. And so it's all just going to go away. It's all just going to go away. Even the hardcore communist drug addicts of Portland are going to sit in a little tent city and take the welfare that they're getting from the city of Portland, and they're not going to come out and do anything. Jack Frost, as they say, as police officers say, Jack Frost is the best cop in town. The colder it is, the less people are willing to loiter about and do something. They might come out like around Christmas. There's a lot of robberies and stick-ups, of course, around Christmas. But that's come out and make a quick hit and run back to where the warm air is. You know what I mean? It's not people hanging around, throwing bottles, fighting with police, et cetera, et cetera. There are no riots in really, really cold places. And the reason why is because it's really fucking cold. That's why. What if I try to screen share this time? Oh, please let it work. Please let it work. Is it working? Is it working? Come on. Is it working? Oh, wait. Oh, something's going to appear at the bottom of the screen. Oh, my God. Look at this. Only like 7 hours into the fucking show. Only like 7 hours into the show. Here's the photo I'm talking about. So you got Venezuelan lady 1, Venezuelan clerk lady 2. Where's the banner with the point in it? Right up here. Right at the top of where that cursor is pointing, that little gold disc has a B in it. So they are openly, the retail stores, and this is some, it looks like middle class, upper middle class shopping mall somewhere in Venezuela. Right now, they're using USD. You see, there's a $20 bill she's handing a clerk, but they're advertising an entirely different form of currency that is accepted in that store. And if you think this is not a big deal, if you think this is something that you can just dismiss out of hand, You've got it all wrong. Mr. White is gone. He's gone back to report to Harvey Keitel because Mr. White is part of the Reservoir Dogs. That movie, you ever see that movie, Reservoir Dogs? The Quentin Tarantino movie with Harvey Keitel and some other guys. It was one of those like caper films. It was like a bank robber film that was kind of like in the 1970s style where you had a group of criminals who nobody knew what anyone's real name was. It was Mr. White, Mr. Brown, Mr. Blue, Mr. Gray, like that. And it actually was kind of a decent movie. It wasn't too bad for a 90s film for Quentin Tarantino, who I think is largely overrated, but that film was pretty good. Yeah, that's you got to consider a lot of these dissidents are 90s millennials. All this 90s nostalgia stuff you see online is all millennial stuff. So, and that movie was big in the 90s, Reservoir Dogs. I saw it. It was like I kind of liked Harvey Keitel. I never thought he was that great, but I kind of liked him. And there was a couple other actors there that were pretty good. They were all character actors. Nobody was like a really big name, but decent film. Decent film. The best thing, I think, well, Quentin Tarantino wrote, what the hell was the book he wrote, the movie he wrote? True Romance, right? That had, not Christian Slater. Was it Christian Slater? I think Christian Slater and, what was the pretty blonde girl's name? She ended up getting real fat and doing a TV show. She's got a sister. Shit, I can picture her. I don't know. That sort of took place. He was like a white trash guy in Detroit who falls in love with a hooker, and they decide to run away together. And he fights her pimp, who's actually Gary Oldman, the English actor Gary Oldman, made up to look like a Rastafarian guy, and kills him in a fight. And in the middle of this crazy whorehouse in Detroit. And when he runs out, he thinks he's getting a suitcase full of her clothes, but it turns out to be a suitcase full of cocaine. And then they go to Los Angeles to sell it. And there was also, who was also in it? Dennis Hopper was his dad, an ex-cop, now a broken down security guard. And Christopher Walken was in that as well as as like a mafioso guy who was in business with the Gary Oldman Jamaican pimp guy, and they want their suitcase full of cocaine back. So Christian Slater, and I can't remember what the girl's name was, but she was pretty hot back in the day, even though she's gotten quite zoftig since. But Venezuela, all of South America, this digital currency thing. I told you about the Wall Street report last week. I linked again in the show notes to another Wall Street report, which I didn't hear this week's episode. But Vulture Capital, private equity is looking for single family homes. That is, they're looking to, I don't know what they're doing, but they're going to do something to fuck like Joe and Jane Average out of their house, out of their property. And it's probably going to make the 2008 real estate crisis financial crisis look even worse. But we're not there yet. We are not there yet. Everything, sadly, Mr. Pohl, like it or not, is about money. The incentives, what drives people to do things or not do things is always it's always the filthy lucre. And we are locked in here with some really bad people who are going to run this thing into a fucking ditch. And the best thing you can do is try to be prepared for it. Now, whether you think the preparations I advocate are stupid, okay, find different ones that you think are going to work. But this is the most important thing. Everything else is nonsense. Nobody cares about your traditional whatever, something. One of the best Twitter threads I saw was the Baroque period. They're like, the year is 1590. you're 14 years old and you're 2 years away from being drafted into the 30 years war where, and then they list all the fucking stats for the 30 years war and how shitty it was. And then he's like, it's 16, 19, you're now 34 years old. And someone comes into your village and suggests that they robbed the local tax collector, you and he split the sack of gold that he has. You turn him in to the king's fucking guard, and they torture him to death. You sleep soundly that night. You're toothless and 35 or something like that. And, somebody did one of those Twitter threads on what the reality of serfdom was, which was more sophisticated and witty than anything I would have done. But it made the same point that I made, that the Dark Ages, and even just past the Dark Ages, were absolute shit. And to romanticize them is to live in a delusional world. And that's whatever's left of dissident right, they're very much they're as delusional as the people who believe that they're purple transsexual unicorns or whatever the fuck they are. It's a different set of delusions, but it's the same delusions. And there's only so much room in the lifeboat. There's only so much room in the lifeboat. So, you need to take care of yourself and those real world people that matter to you, and everyone else is just a chuckle, just a joke. Anyway, we're coming up here on an hour. No one else has joined up, even though I sent out dozens of invitations. But I still consider this a success, overcoming all my boomer tech issues, my bandwidth, my stubborn, recalcitrant Gmail. We managed to get another show out. What time is it? 1:38 in the morning here in the beautiful East Coast. Tomorrow's my day off. I don't have any update on my housing situation. I try to push that thing forward, but I'm not getting any response. So I have no update on that. But I guess I will, at this point. The 50s and 60s were pretty good. Perhaps. The 60s, certainly 1965 to 1969 was good for me because I was like 0 to 4 years old. And I guess everything was pretty good because I hadn't gone to the orphanage yet, and a lot of other shit hadn't happened. I was a little kid, and the world it seemed like a safe place, and it now no longer seems that way. But a different time, and one that we will not recapture anytime soon. But focus on doing what you can in a practical sense to protect you and those you care about from particularly economic, destruction, cruelty, the hegemony of people for whom they have no empathy for other human beings. They are degenerate by every moral standard that's properly been set and held over the centuries, and they control everything. So, it's about duck, get out of the way, let them squash somebody else, and keep you and yours safe as much as you can. And social media, just laugh at it and let it go because it's not real. Don't act like it's real. You're going to end up getting in trouble. And for every dissident that goes to prison, that's like 5 years off of OV's fucking pedophilia sentence. So let's make sure he gets in and does the full fucking stretch. You know what I mean? Make sure he does the full fucking jolt of his fucking time. Anyway, with that, I will. I'm going to let out now the one and only loyal viewer I have, which is Jonathan Bull. Which, by the way, when I was on your show, I was trying to get on your show last night. I sent you DMs. I was in the chat. I was like, but you get locked in on stuff, man. You get laser focused, which is very impressive. But it probably helps that you stay sober. Anyway, thanks for showing up, Jonathan, Mr. White, wherever you are, if you're still here or you're in somewhere else. Thanks for showing up, and we will see what next week brings. But thanks a lot, guys, and have a good night. And end it, fucker.